Hello, hello, hello.
Hey guys, good to see you. Robbie, Jenny, Renee Matthews. Hi.
Yeah, it's wow. It's we did a live earlier today, and let me see. There we go. We were on Logic Before Authority with Daniel, and that was the first time we went on with Daniel. But here you can see Introducing Evolutionary Energy Arts on TSSN. So, yeah, that was fun. That was a first for us.
Uh-oh. Hey guys.
Oh, there I am.
Sorry guys.
Jenny, Renee,
There we go. Well, doing it over. We're looping, guys. We're looping anyway. So we went on and we had this show over here with Daniel, and it was fun. It was a new thing for us, and we'll work with him in the future as well again.
Indeed we will. So it's been a really crazy day. Did you guys see that sun sneeze thing? Oh my gosh. And yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun over there with Daniel. It was special. You know, it's about pulling us all together and us trying to support each other, because we're not going to be able to break out of our own boxes unless we do it ourselves.
So, yes, if you could see the red, we are seriously heading in deep into territories we haven't charted for over 20 years. So, yeah, you're still at G4, as you can see, 8 plus and then 9 minus, almost right on the borderline of G5, which is the highest level. And, you know, Cindy was saying to me, she said, you realize, like, the last time we had something like this was 2003 with a big outage in New York and in Manhattan. Yeah. And so, you know, be aware, because the energy's hitting us now, like the next 48 hours, you could almost expect just about anything.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. You know, there's a whole lot of things happening to the human body. So it's really important we talk about our nervous systems a little bit, because our nervous systems are the ones who are going to be picking up a lot of this energy. I'm still receiving information about it, but the primary information that came in when I was asking, okay, well, what is this flare going to do? And this is just a flare. It has nothing to do with Earth. I know the Schumann's doing crazy stuff too, but that's separate. But it is pulling in information from the sun. And what it's doing right now is it's waking up our ancient DNA. So we might actually have past lives come online. And I thought this was pretty interesting. So people might be having more deja vu, more vivid memory, more things saying like, oh, wow, this is interesting, or I remember this, some crazy dreams like Mike has been having.
Well, yeah, we were like, we should talk about this. So I asked Cindy, do you want to go live? And she said, yeah, let's just take a break, you know, because we had clients all day, and then we did the live with Daniel. So we laid down for basically like an hour nap and see what happens. And, you know, immediately I could feel the energy all around me. And then I had this vision, and, you know, Cindy had to re-say to me what she just said to you guys for it to really hit home. But I had a vision of watching myself morph and change. And it was like I was turning into a totally different being. But it was like a being that I would think of as being a little bit more Anunnaki-ish, you know, kind of like along the lines of Thor. I mean, just feeling myself getting bigger. I was gathering chi like I always do, standing in Qigong. And then the visualization was I was growing larger and larger and bigger, and I felt more and more energy and life force coming in me to like a level that I have never felt before. So in this life, it was really cool. And she was saying, you know, it's triggering this ancient DNA. Yeah, I believe it. Absolutely. You know, this is like a gift. When we see the sun doing this, I think really it's like the benevolent beings out there, They want to see humanity free. And, they want to give us a fighting chance because we've been assailed without even know that we are being assailed. In other words, we've been constantly attacked by all this, everything, all these toxins and poisons and, you name it. And, a lot of beings out there don't like what's happened to us. They feel really bad for us at the whim of a control system that's very, very reptilian in nature, cold-blooded in nature. And so, I think what's coming is an awakening of latent abilities in humans that's going to even the playing field some.
So let's just keep in mind with the blood in our body, it's basically liquid light. We cannot forget that. And what do we have coming right at us? A whole lot more light to add to our liquid light, and that is going to be in the form of many, many upgrades. So definitely give yourself plenty of grace. I mean, you might be feeling great today. I know people who feel absolutely amazing when these happen. And I'm just so jealous of them because I just don't. I just feel buzzed, like I'm plugged into a light socket and I'm just buzz, and it's really frustrating. But you might even feel a sense of inner glow or even internal vibration. I've been hearing that a lot lately. And it did happen to me, but it was years ago. It was during the 2003 one where it's like I kept trying to figure out what was buzzing in my pocket. I kept feeling this buzzing, and it was in like individual pockets, and I could not figure it out. And like looking back, it's like, oh my gosh, that was my body. Hello, I didn't know these things. I wasn't in these loops of knowledge and understanding. So watch for things to be very, very buzzy. That's something. So in our mitochondria wake up as ancient engines. We got to keep that in mind. And when that happens, that is going to start releasing some really interesting energy. And our ancient ways and our ancient biology, everything, the way we knew it, how we knew it, you could see a lot of family members go through awakenings now. So this is the exciting part, is that family members can go through some pretty big awakenings, and you're already awake, so you know what to expect. Now let's talk about a little bit of scary stuff, which worries me, is the earth changes that can come with this. So we might have some big earthquakes. There could be some really weird things happening, not to mention we have war happening all over the place to such a high degree now. It seems like that's really ratcheting up too. Everything that's going on around the globe just seems to be getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And that's going to come along with the upcoming eclipse. So keep an eye out.
It's the extremes. Yeah, they are getting more extreme. But, I mean, think about this. Our DNA that was turned off purposefully by the control system is being turned back on naturally through the sun. And, this, again, is the real creator. Not the one that poses as a creator, but is really just a geneticist that specializes in creating slaves. No, we're going to be well beyond that. And we do also have a lot of DNA in us from different beings from all over. It's a big group out there that took part in the Planet Earth project. Again, the reclamation of bringing life back to Tiamat. So the biggest quake we have out there at the moment is a 6.0 New Caledonia. But we'll keep an eye on that. 268 quakes in 24 hours is kind of normal, maybe slightly above normal. But we will definitely keep an eye out because, yes, I would not be surprised at all if there was something very large, at least like a 7.5 or greater with this type of energy blast. Again, it's in the red line there. So as you could see, we are absorbing a lot of energy. This CME arrived earlier than they were thinking. They were thinking it was going to be more into tomorrow. And so, yeah, it got here very quick. And, you might have aurora, way down. So this is from Zero Hedge. The largest solar storm in 2 decades pounding Earth. S4 severe solar radiation storm is now in progress. Maybe that's why I was kind of envisioning myself hulking out from all the radiation coming in. I think it was the way the guides were saying, this one is powerful. We are going to change. This is the thing. It's even stated in the Bible. We were on with Daniel, so he quotes a lot of Bible. And it's stated that, lo, I will tell you a secret. We shall not all die, but we will all be changed. And you would say, how could that possibly be? Everybody dies, right? You leave your body and you go on. Well, I mean, that's an allusion to ascension and the ascension process. And, again, at some point in time, there's going to be more massive outbursts by the sun that literally you might not know what hit you, but just literally find yourself in a totally different reality. I kid you not, but I think that's kind of what death is when you get down to it. You just all of a sudden, sometimes unexpectedly find yourself in a completely different reality, just like when we lay down to go to sleep. So this is the largest solar radiation storm in over 20 years. The last time S4 levels were observed was October 2003. Now, lots of different effects could be had. We were talking about earthquakes, volcanoes. As far as satellites and spacecraft, permanent temporary damage to satellite electronics, single event upsets causing glitches, reboots, loss of altitude and control, degradation of solar panels shortening satellite lifespan, increased drag on low Earth orbit satellites due to atmospheric heating. So it's heating up our atmosphere too. Aviation, high radiation exposure for passengers and crew on polar routes. Airlines may reroute transpolar flights, increasing fuel costs and delays. Potential disruption to avionics that rely on satellite navigation. For GPS and navigation, reduced GPS accuracy, especially at higher latitudes. Timing errors affecting precision systems like financial networks, telecom syncing, and military operations. Communications, intermittent HF radio blackouts used by aviation, maritime, and military operators. Loss of long-range radio communications in polar regions. I don't know. Would somebody want to maybe do some sort of military operation at this point in time because everything was confused and they might have outages? It could be. Again, there's a lot of geopolitical tension out there. This was an X 1.9, I think X 1.95 flare. Again, that brought this. So big impacts, and we don't know exactly what those impacts are going to amount to when it's all said and done. But, besides all that, they don't tell you in Zero Hedge about the fact that your DNA is literally being turned on. DNA that was turned off, quote unquote, junk DNA. Not junk.
It's that so-called junk DNA that's going to be getting a knock at the door. So you can be ready for that. And, some other things that does is that's going to make you more sensitive to the planetary alignments if you weren't sensitive enough already. So you're going to be more sensitive to the sun, more sensitive to the moon. And you're going to have this, because this is very true, where our ancients, they had this ability to sense truth. It was like a magnet to them. So when they could hear the truth, they just knew it. That like their soul was in charge. Their soul is saying, okay, I know this, and this is a thing. And, you could set your watch by it. It is your truth. So that's going to be something that is going to be getting more and more prevalent in the world. So one good news is for some, the brain is going to stop dominating. So if you're someone who ruminates a lot and maybe thinks and thinks and thinks, but you're not really getting anywhere, you might find some relief from that, because that is definitely part of the unraveling of the DNA, and the DNA kind of unfolding is you having the ability to just shut it off. Just shut it off if that's what you need to do, and sleep. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those lucky ones just yet, because I just lay there and I buzz all the time, and it's quite frustrating. But I'll get there. But for some of you, that's going to be a new thing, and that's going to be wonderful. I promise you, it's going to be something. You might even be sitting in this new world of control over your brain, saying, "Wow, I kind of like it here now." So look forward to that too.
Yeah, so you can see, like, if we look at what's been going on in the Schumann, if you go back a couple of days, you had this third quality, the value reached by quality 3 was truly enormous, reaching power 310. We're starting to see some changes that really are showing us just that we're truly in a Bronze Age. We're no longer in the Kali Yuga. The system's still here, but, again, it's inevitable. It still might take some time to totally divest ourselves of the system, unless, that separation and that split, which, we know it's coming. What's it going to look like? I mean, I don't know. I really don't know what it's going to look like. That's one of those things that they kind of keep from us. Because this is perhaps one of the biggest reasons why you incarnate is to experience something like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is really, really wild. I'm also picking up that a lot of the emotions that are trapped in our body, well, we might actually start feeling those come to the surface. So you might, if you end up with achy joints, achy bones, not quite right back, spine issues, like you feeling like your back needs to pop. Those are old emotions that are trying to come to the top. So do what you can to bring those up, because once they're up and they're corrected, guess what? That old emotion or that old trauma has now released from your body, and now it can go back into the earth or wherever it wants to go and just reprocess and do what it does. It no longer needs to be trapped inside of you. So watch out for the aches and pains, and do take care of them when they come. Go get a massage, take good care of yourself, treat yourself like a king or a queen that you are.
Yeah, boy, you guys in chat there, you're really reminding me of my son. Talking about the anime, because he's big into anime. Bleach anime shows a lot of truth as well. And Naruto, yeah, he was always into all these things. There are things they hide in us, in our society. Again, everything from cartoons, and it always makes me laugh too. I think about who lives in a pineapple under the sea. And, it's not just SpongeBob. I mean, we might not be in a pineapple, but in a way, again, what they call is space is really more of an ocean. It's not a vacuum devoid of life. It's full of life. But that changes our perspective on things. They can't have us understanding, that we're not alone in a way that allows us to feel at peace with it. And feel that there's, beings out there that can help us, guide us. And this is what we have in the other yugas. We have the beings that we interact with are benevolent. They're just like, older brothers and sisters. And, they'll give us ideas, things to ponder, and suggestions. They don't forcibly take control over our lives like we have had with the Kali Yuga.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't forcibly take control over the minds and your brain basically. Now there are some, I know I saw someone in chat, they said, I don't feel anything. Consider yourself blessed. I wish I didn't feel anything, but there could just be, maybe you're in balance right now. So that's a really good thing if you're not feeling anything. But there's going to be some people who don't feel anything, and it's not about being in balance. It's kind of about being too invested in the old signal. Like they can't break out of it. They're not ready to break out of it. Maybe they haven't come here to break out of it. So maybe that's still some family that are just sort of stuck. We love them anyway because they love us anyway. That's it. Love is a two-way street, and you don't have to love people who, whether they agree with you or disagree, that means nothing. Love is love. Love is very, very universal, and it doesn't have a belief. It's a signal. So that's one thing that I wanted to to point out too. So a lot to expect, a lot going on, and just be very kind to yourself and kind and understanding to others, because this is really kind of, in some ways, for some, it's like an assault on the nervous system. It's like, nervous system says, what is going on? Run for cover, but there's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. So your best place to be is receptive and kind of allowing and in a good state.
Good to see you, Brother Israel. He's in the house. K.I. Green, no crying. We'll do our best. I don't know if I could get Cindy to promise, though. We'll have to see.
I don't promise.
Yeah, Mary Moore in the house. Yes, absolutely. It is true. Like, the Avatar is really, really cool. Especially, some of the newer avatars that, and I don't mean the big Avatar, but Avatar, The Last Airbender and all that. Again, teaching people about the elements. That's again, something we should be learning more about, and understanding the chi, the prana, the ki, the life force. That is the most important of the elements, because, again, that's what is us. That's actually the spirit. That's that which, animates everything.
And thank you so much, Free Spirit, for bringing up pets. Absolutely, our pets. Rama and Sita, they're always acting weird, but they can act even more weird at times. And you said your pet was where I lost the thing. Let's see. There were anyone else's pets acting weird, looking out into nowhere. Sita does that a lot. She was just kind of born that way. That's just how she is. She can see into the ether. But as I look into this energy, talking about pets, your pets may see more things than they did before, and they're not going to be alarmed by it, because they're just going to know. They're just going to know, okay, that's an elemental, that's a normal thing. So they probably won't bat an eye, but they will see more. And some will bat an eye. Like Sita, there's some elementals she sees and she does not like them. She'll go after them. And then there's some where she just doesn't really care, But I suspect cats are probably going to be even more sensitive. They'll be the more sensitive ones of the boot. You might even catch them playing in what looks to be thin air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Renee said The Last Airbender is amazing. Just watched it 2 weeks ago. Well, when you look at the book Initiation into Hermetics, which I've shared with you guys the story, when I was going to go into third grade, we moved, and we went into this creepy house, and there was nothing in the house except for in the basement, and it had a dirt floor in part of the basement. And this area where they used to develop, I guess they developed x-rays, because there used to be a dentist that lived there. There was one book, and it was left there, and I was like 7 years old. It was Initiation into Hermetics by Franz Barden. And, that was a book. I couldn't understand it at 7 years old reading it. It's Hermetics. It's Hermetic philosophy, which is ultimately like yoga. Again, coming out of the Vedic world and the yogic world, but it talks about how to commune with elemental beings so that you can develop mastery over the elements. And there's meditations in that book, again, to allow you to have more of a connection to the elements, so that you can actually manipulate and control the elements in your own life, and also in your own body, to keep balance and harmony for longevity. And, I was just thinking about how, in some ways, that story, with the four kingdoms and everything, is really a reflection on yoga.
Yeah, there's so much to learn out there. There's just so much to learn. You want to try to keep an open heart, because there's really good information everywhere you look, in all of these different belief systems. They all have something very beautiful and some kind of profound wisdom to offer, and that's what impresses me every time I dive into something. I find something just so invaluable. Let's see. I know I saw, definitely. Robbie's guinea pigs are not acting well. Mary having trouble coming off of antidepressants. Yep. Keep up the good work, Mary. Keep the grounding up. The ashwagandha, chamomile tea, so many soothing things. L-tyrosine, I think. Is it L-tyrosine or tyrosine? Tyrosine can be very, very helpful and calming to the nervous system. I am so proud of you, Mary. That's the thing that took me years to do. I took my time. And it took me years, and that's okay, because that's not easy to do. So you will get there.
So, unless you're deep down in Florida or closer to the Mexican border, good chance you could see some of the northern lights tonight. That's exciting. And this is, again, a rare occasion, but the entire, again, ether is changing. The ether is changing. I didn't understand this at all until really just like the last year when the guides' information started coming through about that when we change a yuga, the very matter of all that makes up the material universe literally changes. That is so incredibly cool.
Mm-hmm. It is. And Robbie's saying, remember that dream I had about you guys, and you were turned into like electric looking with the electric eyeballs. Yeah, that's a pretty crazy dream with the electric in our eyes. Yeah, I think we're all turning into that now with this sneeze coming up. And I mean, look at the weather. The weather is just wild. And I mean, a couple of weeks ago we had maybe even just a week ago, we had our air conditioner on, and now look at everything. It's crazy out there.
Yeah, Robbie, that was kind of like the vision I had this afternoon about 2 hours ago. The one that you're describing, it felt like that. As you work with the life force, as you learn to build the chi, gather the chi, and then transfer the chi, it'll go from like a weak magnetic feel. At some point, it'll start to turn electric, and it feels strongly electric. And that just grows as you get more used to manipulating the life force. So yeah, I've noticed the change, and I also have noticed over the years, at different times, there's this pineal pressure that develops. And, I was wondering if I was done with it because I haven't had it in a while, but I just had it like the last maybe 4 or 5 days. I've felt more pressure in my pineal gland that it makes me feel that it's expanding again and growing again. This is up in Michigan. This is a pileup with over 100 vehicles. Injuries reported, obviously. This is some crazy winter weather going on. Zeeland, Michigan. Did you guys catch the snow drifts in Kamchatka? Literally as high as 10 to 12 stories buildings? It's just wild what's going on.
I know. Talk about finally a reason to grab your skis out of the closet because you live on the, 15th floor, and now you can just hop out your window and ski down the hill. So Miss Mary is saying, what are some symptoms of our DNA activating? There is several. So one of them can even just be achy bones. And with you, if you're making changes, sounds like big changes right now, just really listen to your body. You could have really quite a mix going on, and it would be very difficult to tell what it is exactly. But do baby yourself. Whatever it is, your body needs it.
Yeah, listen to your body. That's always one of the most important things. Absolutely listen to your body. You're going to need more rest as we start activating more DNA. And literally your nutrients needed will change. They will go from periods of time when you might need to eat quite a bit more or eat quite a bit more good, strongly nutrient-dense foods. Maybe need some with higher levels of protein, and then periods of more of a fasted state to clear out the old. This hit me. The beach warning issued in California, Oregon. Stay away from the ocean. California beaches. Beach hazard warnings are active from late Monday night through Tuesday evening along Del Norte, northern and southwestern Humboldt and Mendocino coasts due to sneaker waves. Avoid rocks, jetties, and steep beaches. Oregon beaches, again, face a moderate risk of sneaker waves from late Monday night to early Tuesday afternoon. Stay out of the water and away from rocks. sneaker waves, danger, unexpected powerful waves that can sweep people into the ocean and move heavy objects. Stay alert and keep a safe distance from the shorelines. And you can see right below it some massive flooding going on again in California.
Crypto Geezer, thank you so much. And I love this. Thank you for the community thought. I love it. So community thoughts and prayers for safe passage through these solar blasts and possible big earthquakes around the world. Thank you. I love that. I love coming together and having us all put our intent together. That's what these lives are all about. It's about that exact thing. So we will definitely work on that at the end. We are going to create space for that. And I remember, I don't know if any of you guys remember, but in 2003, people in New York, Manhattan, they were, having to climb these super, super tall buildings on the inside, and their elevators didn't work. So they're like having to go up obnoxious amounts of stairs, dare I say like 50 floors or something like that. And it was just horrible. No water running. It was really awful. And that really, to me, it felt like an attack, but the sun and the earth working together in the right way, it can look like an attack. But you got to ask yourself, what's going on with the Schumann? What is going on with that Schumann just doesn't look right. And I got to tell you, when they were talking about it being the magnetic force, it really felt like it was a deliberate placement of the magnetic force inside the earth. When Stefan Burns was talking about that, I didn't know he was, but when I heard about the Schumann, I checked before anything. I checked inside, and I felt that this was deliberate. So that kind of concerns me for sure. So we'll keep an eye on that, and definitely, Crypto Geezer, we will hold that intent.
Yeah, absolutely. And Israel says he's been struggling with his left leg. It's just been staying as if it was sore from excessive exercise. Oh, no. So just running some energy on your leg now as we speak, Israel. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of things. Like I was noticing some processing and purging myself. And, I right now, this time with the incoming energies, they're making me feel very hyped up. Sometimes, it makes me feel very, very tired and withdrawn. I think it just simply has to do with the cycles of going through purges and then rebuilding. Rebuild and purge. That's kind of what we're going through. And we are literally building new bodies for ourselves for a new age. That's literally what's happening.
Yeah, Israel, you take care of yourself. That sounds like it. I'm not a doctor, but it sounds like it could be a deficiency. So maybe magnesium baths or even magnesium oil if you can tolerate it. And then, shoot me a text. Let's try to work on that.
Magnesium. That's something that I take like twice a day, every day. So, it's really it's helped a lot in more ways than one.
Yeah. We have a lot of censorship. It's just hard to address that large of a topic. All we can do is just keep pushing forward. That's my comment. Just don't give in to feeling like you're doomed. You have to toss that out the window and move forward. So that's what I have to do, and Mike does. And we just, we have a very powerful spiritual practice amongst ourselves, and we stay on that, we exercise, we keep our spirits up, and we just don't let it pull us down, and we keep pulling forward. So I hope you have a breakthrough.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course we would do whatever we could to help. So, yeah, you got to really listen to your body at this time. And the earth, she's got to take care of her body. And, at some point she's going to have to do a lot of cleansing. And that just means big earth changes that are not going to be necessarily technologically induced. This is creepy, and this got me thinking of what our brother Wayne was doing. So AI-powered robocops take up traffic duties in Chinese cities. They are. Can you believe that? They are putting out robotic cops
Wow.
to direct the traffic now.
Oh wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that didn't take very long. So there's one thing, I mean, they keep saying that, AI is here to help, but the problem with AI is it's created for efficiency. It's not created to sustain human life. Like, the decisions that AI is making is not for your benefit. It's for efficiency. We cannot forget that. Now, AI can be very, very useful, but there is a problem here. There is a big problem when it comes to this. Are we going to listen to Wayne?
Yeah, I just wanted to share this because we love Wayne. He's like a brother to us, and if you could go over and give him a view, because they don't want this. They don't like this stuff going out. Because he's sensed something, and I sense it too, and I think it is big. We've discussed this, but here's his call to action: moratorium pause on all data centers. Just want to mention and let him talk just a little bit on this.
This is a call to action. We need to become unified with all the other groups, those smaller voices, and unite to one voice to stop and resist the building of these data centers.
And what he's sensing is there's something really nefarious with this. Just like with when I was living in Nashville, when they were popping up, all the 5G towers were popping up everywhere. It was like a mad rush to get this thing completed before a certain date. And then what do we have? We had the lockdown. Now there's a mad rush for these data centers. And so Brother Wayne is feeling like this is not good. We have to stop this. We have to slow this roll.
Yeah, slow it down.
At least slow it down. But the way he said that in the beginning too, it's like taking the small voices and let's make our voices bigger by joining together. And that's exactly what we did with Daniel. Logic before authority. And this is why we also were working, and we did work with
Divine?
No, well, obviously Dave Devine. Dave, we've worked with going back 8-9 years. Nina the Mystic.
Yes,
she's another small channel, and she's getting bigger. So yay, that's great. And she had on a new guest today too. So it's all of us kind of connecting, and take our whatever it is, 500. Followers, 1,000, 10,000. It hits me when I think that we've had a video that got just under 1 million views. We've had other ones that got over 100,000 views, 250,000 views. But I know that we are helping our core group, and if they will allow us to reach new people, then we could help more people, because it's really all about freedom. It's loka samasta sukhi no bhavantu. It's all beings everywhere being happy and free. The system doesn't want you free, and they don't care if you're happy or not. That's what they've said to us about where you're not going to own anything. You won't even own your own underwear. Literally, they want us to rent our underwear. It's just freaking ridiculous. No. We're not going to go quietly into the night. In fact, we're going to yell louder than ever, and we're going to come together. That's what they fear.
Cross-pollinate, because otherwise we're going to get stuck in our own box, and we are not going to reach not even one single person. And the other thing I would say, if your channel is stuck, try a different direction. Maybe on the bigger scheme of things, maybe that's not your thing. Maybe you're being herded in another direction. But don't give up. If you're supposed to work with people, and if you want to work with people, then stay in that realm. You must be meant to connect with people, or you wouldn't be there. It just might not be in the way you think. So definitely definitely don't give up. And yeah, I mean, this AI thing, this is scary. Now, I'm not against AI. I think it could be great for medical research to really help people who cannot walk, maybe paraplegic, people who cannot hear. It can resolve a lot of it could be for good. It absolutely could be for good for humans. But it's not. They're not using it. They're using it for control, and they're using it for money, and they're using the resources that humans need to survive. So if all these data centers are using that amount of water to cool their machines, what's happening to the water? Where's it going? What is going to happen to us? We need water. We need electricity, and they're pulling a lot of it. And pretty soon we're going to start holding that weight.
Look at the Sahara Desert. That wasn't a desert like 400 or 500 years ago, right?
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, did they roll out something like this, 400 or 500 years ago and literally, terraform in a negative way?
Well, I've been chatting a little bit with Carmen Doc, and we were wanting to talk about a gentleman in Texas is from what I understand, I wanted to talk to her a little bit, but they're making him sell his land. And that's just not nice. He's really in a pickle, and he can't hold on. And they're going to put this huge miles and miles of AI, from what I understand. And it's not fair. So they're just sort of just going to get it from him.
I think part of what is going on right now, and if you look at everything else that's being introduced, the robot dogs have been introduced in so many different countries, and they're literally being outfitted. I don't know. I don't live in a big city, but I would expect that you're going to see all sorts of robotics, literally like this, everywhere, and probably within 5 years, but it's already happening in some places. And I think what they're doing is again, they know multiple things. Again, there's been a predicted massive decline in the amount of Homo sapiens on the planet. And, they've talked about, everything from what do we need so many humans for? Again, the number 2 guy at the WE, saying that, and then AI replacing all of our positions with jobs. I think they're getting ready for a massive deployment of drones and robots out in mass, to where at some point in time you might have many more drones and robots literally on our streets than you do actual humans.
I think that's going to be a reality. I mean, it really does concern me, all these data centers coming up and all the resources that they take. And I feel like I just have to keep saying, like, I am not against AI. I don't like the direction things are going. And Wayna is right. It is going in a very dangerous direction. They're putting them up so fast before we even have time to take a look and see what is it doing to the environment. What is it doing to local people? And Planeteer, that's another one that I've been looking at. That's not, from what I understand, it's not a very good thing either. We need to look at that, because they're planning on basically taking control of almost our every move, if they can. Everywhere we look, everywhere we go, it's going to be tracked, and there's going to be a way to track it, and that's what they need them for.
So this robot could direct traffic, and does, and then go from this. It could go and pass around tickets, and it does. It could work around the clock, never taking any time off. And, this RoboCop is just the latest addition to China's growing fleet of AI-powered traffic assistants. Last year, several Chinese cities began integrating robotic officers into daily policing. In June, southwestern city of Chengdu and Sichuan province deployed a team of robot police officers, including quadruped robots, wheeled robots, and humanoid robots, to patrol the streets alongside human counterparts. In December, AI-powered traffic policing robot was put on duty in Hangzhou, in China's eastern Zhejiang province. So here you go. I mean, they are doing this en masse in China. Why is China so far ahead of us? Well, because, again, they're the ones that they have already designated to be the winner of WW3. They have it all planned out. I think, again, everything that we do can screw up those plans. But they planned that China would end up winning this. Have you ever wondered why our infrastructure is just so crumbling and pathetic? Because they're going to let it go back. We were talking on Daniel's program about how you let something lay fallow, I guess is the word. You let the land rest. Well, that's what they have, again, planned for the United States, I think, in so many ways. After WW3, again, we could change timelines. I think we do it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If we have time, it's like Mike and I have thought about getting, a little more involved in the local atmosphere. I don't know if we could, but we're already seen as, kind of weirdos. But anyone who is not, I would suggest kind of getting involved at the lower level local arena where you're at, if it's a concern for you, and just get in there and see what they're doing, watch what they're doing, and somehow, some way, with enough of us, a little bitty annoyances all over the place, maybe they would know then, okay, well, we're being watched, so maybe we need to slow it down. Maybe we need to slow our roll just a little bit, but we need to do something. I mean, that could be part of our intent tonight too, is having them slow down and creating a kind of a like Mike said, a shift, timeline shift.
Yeah, absolutely. So lots of good points. Lucid Farms, think about how when you zoom out and look at structures, landscape, it looks like a microchip. It really, really does. Now, wouldn't AI perhaps plan everything that way? If it was ultimately AI that was going to structure a new world instead of what we have in the natural world, creating the cities to look just like a chip itself, creating it in its own image, right? Like we are supposedly, biblically speaking. Did you know, for one, that they have a cancer ouchie? Cindy's worried about that.
Yeah.
Put that with this. Planes and helicopters dropping millions of live genetically engineered rabies vaccine baits all across America without public notice or consent. The USDA confirms operation spans 6 states, coating rural communities with lab-made oral vaccines named Ruboro V RG. What most don't realize is these baits contain a live recombinant virus capable of infecting multiple species. 2019 study found it can persist and shed for weeks, leaving animals contagious long after exposure. Even the CDC admits people may be at risk. Yet the government keeps flooding forests, waterways, and neighborhoods with millions of these live virus doses wrapped in fish meal attractant without public disclosure, independent oversight. Eesh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at what they do to the poor animals. I'm so sad. And while we're talking about animals, our dearest friend Zoe, she's getting
across
her own
these
property. We're so proud of her. She's starting from scratch. She's roughing it, and she's doing it. She's such an amazing woman. Well, they just got their new property, and not too far from their property, there's these abandoned pups that were just dropped off. And I see that all over the place, and it is so heartbreaking when I do see that. And she, every time she goes by this area, she has to see it, and there's not much she can do. She can't take them in. I mean, she's not equipped. She's taking care of herself and her partner, and she's just not equipped to take on that role, and she just can't do it. But somebody just dumped them, and that happens so often all over the world, and it's just not okay.
No.
Not everyone deserves a pet. Not everyone deserves a dog or a cat or a horse or anything. They're blessings. They're angels. They should be cherished. How many times have you gotten a pet and thinking you go to a rescue and get a pet? Well, that pet rescued you. That pet rescued you.
But when you look at I Am Legend, that movie, basically it was when they found a cure for cancer. that the zombie apocalypse started, and then other like zombie movies. The premise is kind of crossing rabies with something again.
Yeah.
Cure for cancer. So it's just like they're just trying to manifest these timelines.
Well, they're definitely working on it, and they're doing it through us, and they're using our pets. But anyhow, with the pet story, I just wanted to also set the intention and a prayer out there that these pups that Zoe has to watch every day, that somebody comes and gives them a home and something gets done. So thanks for that. It's just it's a tough world out there. Yeah, prion disease, zombies. I know, as soon as I heard about that ouchie that came out that cures the big C, I can't stop thinking about it. It's like, what's a zombie? It's an entity that's animating a body, and it has no control. It's like flailing its arms,
operating
and on animal instinct. So if it's still a biological entity, it has to eat. Guess what? I don't think they really care what they eat. They just eat whatever's in front of them, and then when they get hungry, again, more not caring. They're just going to get to the thing. So yeah, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah, do you guys have the LED lights in the house? So this statement here, LED lights are a public health issue on the same danger level as asbestos. That is very serious.
It's an issue on the same level as asbestos.
On the same level as asbestos. What?
This is a public health issue,
Wow.
and it's big. The LED has got a big blue spike in it, although we tend not to see that. And that is even true of warm LEDs, and there is no red. The light found in LEDs, we can watch the mitochondria gently go downhill. They're far less responsive. The mitochondria are not breathing very well. Watch that in real time.
Under LED lighting.
At the same energy levels in a domestic or a commercial environment.
This blew my mind. Dr. Glenn Jeffrey on Huberman.
Yeah, and that's really, it's horrible. You wonder why people are just succumbing to all sorts of issues. There's a lot of different things that are hitting us. Literally, the LED lights, obviously the signals that we are bombarded with all the time, the toxic water, the toxic air, aluminum, barium, just one thing after another. It's like there's no way you can say that it's just a whole series of accidents and coincidences. How about this? Domino's Pizza. When was the last time you guys ate Domino's Pizza? For me, I don't think I've had a Domino's Pizza since 2000. Literally. I mean, it's been a long time. Probably. But here you go. After testing, they found ethylene oxide, a pesticide and carcinogen there in very high levels. Yeah, again, it is loaded with GMO wheat and all sorts of toxins. So, not a good thing. We make our own pizza, and it's way better than Domino's. Way better.
No, I wish Mike had a picture. You guys would just be shocked. And we've had a very special friend over, and a couple friends over now, who can vouch for the world famous pizza that gets made in this house. It is so good.
Let me give you this info.
I don't know what Mike's doing, but I'll take the mic a minute while he does that. So, yeah, the thing about eating healthier, we all have to just keep trying to do a little bit better. One day at a time. It's so overwhelming to try to just do everything at once, and in fact you can't. I don't recommend, if you're on this journey to a cleaner lifestyle, tackle just one tiny thing at a time. Maybe make a list of the things that you want to replace in your home: clothes, toothbrush, hairbrush, whatever, and just kind of replace one or two a month or something. Don't overwhelm yourself.
Yeah, I did find a couple of sites today, bulbs.com. So yeah, you could get incandescent bulbs here. They'll ship them anywhere in the U.S. I'm not sure about outside of the U.S. There was a local place in Texas too that also does incandescent. So there are places you can get them. They're still available. Yeah, I mean, it's on my list. we have a mix here in this house because we bought it from an old couple. And yeah, I will not be putting any of the new ones in as they go, and definitely want to change them out because I could feel where they do screw up with your pineal gland. They screw up with your body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, send us an email, Mary. Just send us an email. Maybe we can work something out. So, there's a lot of people need help sometimes. So just shoot us an email. But this has really been a blessing to have everyone here tonight, and it's crazy. It's a crazy news day too. So I'm really happy to see everyone here.
Mm-hmm. There's so much stuff we could still see before they erase it that show us just how covered up our history is. August 23rd, 1896. Is this the ancestor of the American race? Discovery of ancient giants' footprint in British Columbia raises an interesting question. Here are the heights of all the giants we know of, and it starts listing them from Goliath at 11 feet tall, Galbara from Rome, 10 feet tall, Funham from Scotland, 11.5 feet tall, Del Valemont ruin, I guess that's France, 17 feet tall, Count Bouchard, 22.6 feet tall, living in the 16th century. They're giving you the time, too. Theobacchus, 25.5 feet tall, 16th century. An unknown one from Palermo, which is an island around Italy, 30 feet tall, 15th century. John Middleton from England, 9.3 feet tall, 1578. And it gives you some other ones more modern. Pretty wild, man. It's one of the things I love to see is these articles that are like 150 years old and showing, this is a serious giant.
That's a big fella right there. Oh my gosh. He's big in, what's that, a zebra suit he has on.
Yeah, he's probably wearing a tiger or something.
Yeah, tiger suit.
But there's thousands of these articles that are still out there, still available for us to look at. This I thought was interesting because it turns out that Dolores Cannon said that when open contact is truly made with the Galactic Federation, if I'm remembering it right, she worded it something like, where would they meet us? They would meet us in Peru. I've always kind of had a feeling that Cindy and I might end up at some point in time in Peru or Bolivia too, because there's a lot of these amazing sites over on the Bolivian side of the border too. But this is declassified CIA documents revealing Stargate remote viewers probing a Galactic Federation headquarters on Earth. Where was it located? At Lake Titicaca, which is right at the border of Peru and Bolivia. Dome structures, tall humanoids, interstellar vibes. It goes back this session. This was released in August 10th of 2000. And yet the session was from 1988. I think looking at the initials on this, it feels like it might have been Ed Dames doing some of the remote viewing on this one. But it's just pretty wild, to think about it. When the benevolent beings were here, they were with us there. They were with us. And these were the benevolent beings. These were not the ones that enslaved humanity.
Exactly. That's a important distinction there. And Amanda, awesome. Yeah, keep going. That's a lot of work, but it's important work. And how does that go? Don't build your money here on earth or build your mansion in heaven. I forget. There's like some saying, but you are racking up a lot of good karma, girl.
Yeah, every time we kind of pay things forward, we're racking up good karma. And we're really, every time we do that, every time you do just a random act of kindness you're really short-circuiting this system, because the system is trying to train us to be like it, just concerned with ourselves, not concerned with others, to be greedy, to be selfish, and not put ourselves out. Every time we go the opposite way, we are basically short-circuiting the system and their plans. This is interesting, showing a little energy work here, right? The hand over the lower dantian. That's exactly, again, in the future, that is the future of healing. Were these bowling balls of the gods?
Marbles.
Marbles. Oh
Yes.
my. Okay.
Marbles.
Yeah, if they're just marbles, wow. These spheres predate, and look at them. They look like bowling balls. I gotta wonder what they did. Can you sense into them? Can you feel into those?
No,
Some of these are over 15 tons.
No, they seriously are. They're for some kind of game.
They are for
They are for a game. These are something for some kind of game. I mean, this one, if you think about the giants, they're for games. They could be for, okay, so everybody's going to think I'm ridiculous, but the ones with the holes there, beads, games, think happy, think joyful, something positive, creative. That's the energy I pick up from them.
Is this going back to Tiamat, or is this?
It could be part of remnants. Maybe the way it was blasted apart. Maybe some of these things did stick in the earth somehow. I don't know.
How big would these beings be?
It is too big for me to imagine. So, just huge. Huge.
You have to recognize too that in a different age, like if you were talking the silver age, for instance, everything is much bigger. We're bigger. The trees are much bigger. Everything is much bigger.
Our own planet is huge. Our own planet is already just ginormous. We're just on such a little teeny tiny fraction, and we're stuck here. So it just you have to take a lot of things that we think we know and just lay them to rest, and that way you can open up and see things and feel things differently. So one thing that I always work on when channeling, and it's tough, is you have to lay down all of your belief systems. You have to lay down everything you think you know, because that can form your channeling. But if you lay it all down and you open your mind, then you get a lot more information. I'm not saying you can't do it with your belief systems, just saying it's difficult.
Yeah. Let's see. Emma's favorite game is crib. I used to play cribbage. I'm not sure what crib is, but cribbage is with that board and then a deck of cards, and we would move the pegs around. I haven't played that in a long time. I played that with my dad growing up. That was his favorite game. How about this guy? This is the red-lipped batfish off the Galapagos Islands. That looks like it could be some sort of alien creature.
Oh my gosh, isn't he cute? He almost looks like I had a saltwater tank at one point in my life, and we had something called a longhorn cowfish, and he looked a little bit like that, except for he was more square, and but his lips and his eyes and just his body was kind of rectangular, and these fishes are so amazing. And then KK sent me something the other day about how these crabs can live like right in the ocean on a volcanic vent, and then somehow they're able to eat. Aw, thank you. Thank you, Jason Ooze. Thank you so much. That helps us. We appreciate that a lot.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Jason. This is really deeply appreciated, as is this puppy who just doesn't know why he's not getting a treat. He's giving his paw. This is a statue, obviously, in front of this shop. I love the way the shop looks and the colors. And, of course, the puppy. What's more adorable than a golden puppy?
Oh, I had a golden. His name was Trigger.
Yeah, that was, I remember when Trigger passed, it was sad. Again, I think it was Robbie was saying earlier, Dogs are angels. They absolutely are. And I think they truly, truly are in many cases. It's even said, in the Hindu texts that angelic beings will literally incarnate a small part of their soul into, pets and dogs in particular, other pets as well, in order to be there with us and to guide us, protect us, to love us, to pick us up when we need it, when we need to be picked up. I definitely feel that's the way with our kids. Those, Rama and Sita and Sassy too. Sassy's interesting. Rama and Sita, though, feel a little more purposeful, with their protectorship and oversight of us. Sassy could be a little Miss Magoo. Sometimes she would go just wandering off in the wrong direction.
Yeah, she can do that. She can be a little turd sometimes too, and kind of awkward, but we love our little girl. She's been such a blessing. They all are. So when when I asked God for an angel, he gave me a whole bunch of paws, and I appreciate and adore each and every single one.
Absolutely. So guys, Cindy will give us some dings, and you can see here, when you're at peace, then the critters will come up to you. They can read your energy. They do read your energy. They read everybody's energy. When there's animals that avoid a person, honestly, I would avoid that person because the animals know right away. They're reading people's energy field. So, with my dad, it was interesting because my dad always gave off so much peace that anybody's dog would usually end up in my dad's lap, even if there was just somebody we had just met, because the energy he gave off was so peaceful.
So you guys know, please set your intentions, think a happy thought, and that's so important for the dings. When we do the dings, so important that you have a happy thought in your mind, and drink plenty of water after the dings too. It's very important. And that's another symptom of the solar flares, a lot of thirst. So please drink lots and lots and lots of water. So let's please create a safe space for everyone in the earth changes that are going on, and have, let everything go as good as it can possibly go. And thank you so much for the support, Jason. We appreciate it so much, and everything helps. So thank you so much, Jason and Crypto Geezer. Thanks. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. Source bless and namaste.
Loka samasta sukhi no bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may my thoughts, words, actions, and deeds contribute to that happiness. As always, guys, we love you.